I'm on the quest to be the best, but these
I'll see
quests
how
are on
this.
the side.
Yeah,
That's
Razor, I
not
heard
an
you
issue.
bitching and
We
moaning
gon'
over
make some
the
time.
subliminally, so we're
Ric
gonna play
Flair
some new
once
joint
said, to
anyways.
be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side.
Yes,
I'm on the
folks,
quest to be the
for the
best,
special
but
side
these
quest, for
quests
the
are on the
special
side.
edition side
That's
quest,
not an issue. We
my
gon' make
brother
some
Feather
time.
Mother has
Ric
decided
Flair
to
once
bestow
said, to
upon
be the
you
best, you have to
all
beat the
amazing
best.
fans,
We on the quest.
new
This
theme
quest is
song
on the
for
side.
this
I'm on the
new
quest to be
season
the
of Side
best,
Quest.
but these quests are on the
What y'all
side.
think about the
That's
song?
not an issue. We gon' make some time. Ric Flair once said, to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Be the best.
We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Ric Flair once said, to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. We gotta talk about it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The cheers, the jeers,
Let 'em
and
know.
drunken. Watching, keeping the eye for the
We
truest.
specialize
And at the
in the
same
good, the
time,
bad, and the ugly.
entertaining. The rumor will.
No
We
topic
love
is
the
off
smoke.
limits between he and I.
Content must go on.
If we have an opinion on it, best believe, as God is our witness, we will hear our opinion.
You know the rest. I'm on a quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Ric Flair once said, to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side.
And I'm about to make a dance to this shit. Oh, baby.
We gon' make some time. Ric Flair once said, to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side.
All like Ron Breaker runs for I show that Royal Rumble.
It's still graded. I feel.
I'm kind of digging it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of digging it.
One of those flows you just gotta just put the hoodie on, just start bobbing your head to it, and you just feeling it.
Yeah, and like the song said, y'all heard the lyrics. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. So I mean,
And we striving to
today,
be the best at doing so. Just remember, we are on the verge of being your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast. Put it on the motherfucking docket. We are on the rise.
off the hip. Oh yeah, baby, it's the Sidebar Quest. Let's go. And today's episode, I think we're diving into the ugly here. We're gonna be talking about some WWE releases in the month of February, baby.
It is with a heavy heart that we have the unfortunate responsibility of acknowledging these losses that were transpiring as SmackDown was on the air. And I'm going to be honest. Two of them specifically, mainly one of them, and we talked about this off the air. One of them mainly caught me by surprise. There's another one that was like, "Oh, that's weird." There's another one that's like, "Oh, okay, this is probably for the better in the long run." And those others that were just like, "Oh,
Right.
okay."
I think we
Am
could
I
agree on that.
overreacting? Am I underreacting? Like,
Nah, I'm safe to agree on that. That was pretty much the consensus coming in. Like, there's pretty much somebody that was just featured in the Royal Rumble chat that got
prominently,
released. Wow.
prominently in the Rumble.
That might is the faction still together on Raw? Who
Mm.
knows? Is it a tag team at this point? Since one of the faction mates have been released? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of things to dive into. And I guess like you said, a lot of these were announced before SmackDown. This
No. One was right before SmackDown's there. The rest were while SmackDown was on the air.
oh wait, so it's been a uneventful night for some.
And let's be honest, it's only ironic that SmackDown they kind of elevated some shit to where they kind of like put their foot on the gas, make sure shit was popping off to maybe deter us from what we learned on the internet.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
I think they did a
possibility.
good job. Yeah,
As
they put
as wild as they were popping off, like this shit was kind of by design. It's like, oh, There's a reason why y'all had this little extra spunk to your shit. No, no.
It's a little odd
Unfortunately,
timing for
some folks
those,
no longer gonna play with y'all. That's what it's really about.
and it's a little odd timing for some of those, like you said, announced releases coming through the internet
Let's
during
not forget, we
SmackDown.
got one less than what 2-3 weeks ago.
What? It was just over yeah, last Sunday,
Yeah,
last
so yeah,
Saturday,
yeah, yeah. 2 weeks ago, maybe.
basically. Yeah, like
Yeah,
wow.
we got one. When that one was a weird one because like again for those that may not know what I'm talking about 2 weeks ago, I'm trying to calm down with this because again, some of these were just what the fuck. But Duke Hudson of Chase U,
Oh wait.
the boot. Thank you for coming. Sayonara. Arrivederci. Adios. Bon voyage. Get out.
Now I'm not just trying to blow smoke. I was legit a fan of Duke. I don't know if you remember a few months ago when I was like, yo, why they got the dude in the group? And then I started to enjoy it. They added Ridge.
Him and Ridge, former tag team champions. Let's call a spade a spade. This man is a former champion in NXT. One of the honestly one of the unsung heroes of Chase U, if not the unsung hero of Chase U, aside from Thea Hall or Hell.
I could be wrong on this, but he kind of gave me like Wade Barrett vibes a little bit early on, like
He was a
his stature.
soft-spoken Wade Barrett.
That's how I viewed it. And I'm like, dang,
He was a
they,
gentle giant, but if you
yeah.
piss him off, you know this big bitch gonna get active.
I thought a cat like this might. I thought they would have gave him a shot on the main roster for real. I was surprised initially that it was only his name announced as a release from NXT. But then I started looking at the grander scope of things. They announced Evolve. They announced the LFG show.
I'll,
It's a
I'll,
lot of.
I'll go a little deeper than this. My theory is it was either Duke Hudson or Ridge Holland.
What about the other dude?
No,
The
no,
one that had
no,
that
no, no.
ring
I'm
chase
saying,
feud,
I'm saying
Adrian
because
Chase.
I'm saying because both of them were a similar style, stature. Both were respectively on a certain level of limbo. Whoever didn't prosper out of the two of them was ultimately going to get fired. We saw Duke ultimately challenge Andre Chase in a marquee match. We hadn't seen Duke Hudson since him and Ridge lost the NXT Tag Team Championships. So that tells me that Duke was destined to be the odd man out. Unfortunately, it's a fucked up way of putting it, but again, sometimes that's just how business rolls.
Now you feel like it's more of a development thing. Like they feel like he didn't come to the progress they thought he would have showed. Like we
That's
did this because he's
yeah,
a bigger.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now again, I'm surprised because Adrian Chase looks a bit older than him. Maybe he gets the ring psychology more.
I would have bet that Duke Hudson was more up to par than Andre Chase.
I keep saying Adrian. It's Andre Chase. I don't know why I keep saying
I
Adrian.
I I would have wagered that Andre Chase. Now, given another individual that's was also let go today, when referencing Andre Chase, I mean this for the opposite of the other individual tour. What in referencing Andre Chase, I mean this in the utmost negative meaning possible. Andre Chase did the bad AEW style, the style that's killing their ratings. That's the style he did. This man would have been perfect in the Dark Order. Look what the Dark Order is today.
That's why I'm kind of puzzled. They kept Chase still. Maybe yet he's not the go, but
But again, if Rich Hall wasn't in the equation, and if it was down to Rich Hall and Andre Chase, it would have been Andre Chase taking that L, and Andre Chase would have been released. But because Rich Holland was in that fold, that's what saved Andre Chase.
Right. Man, I thought
But
this
yeah,
dude had
Andre Chase,
more, man.
he does the bad AEW style, the style that makes many of us regret instilling any faith in the promotion as a whole, because it's like, why should we invest in hoping you're going to get better when you're over 5 years deep and you're still doing the same bullshit as year one, episode one. Only
So
difference now is you've gone back on your rule, and all of your champions are people that should be retired amongst WWE by now.
what's even more surprising is that, given his TNA partnership, I'm surprised they didn't send him. Oh, like give him a last ditch effort, maybe, or do you think
Against
it's
who?
simply?
Against who doing what?
I mean, I don't know. They sent
That's the
Ashanti to
problem.
Adonis. Yeah, I mean,
Like I said, the stuff with Asante the Adonis and an individual we'll get to shortly, it's one with this guy. It's like, because he, again, this is, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth or whatever, but because his presentation allowed for Rich Holland's character to overshadow him almost overnight, whoever was working with him, with Duke, did Duke no favors. It's one
yeah,
of those, these are the cards you're going to be dealt with.
I liked him as a singles
Whatever happens,
competitor.
happens.
This stuff was fun. I was hoping they would get him past this stuff.
Right. And again, stuff with the separation of Chase U, the stuff with Rich Harlan kind of like taking everybody on the road to taking Andre Chase, that stuff was fun. But the problem, like I said, the problem was he either could have come off as too passive, or he didn't do enough to garner himself equal to a Rich Holland or whatever, or maybe Shawn Michaels did him a disservice and didn't give him the look he should have gotten.
Rich
Well,
Holland definitely outshined him. I mean, he was the biggest star coming in. He had a bigger story. He had the forced retirement because of hurting people on the main roster and on
but
NXT.
again, all of that was before him joining Chase U.
Ridge, right?
Yes, that was
Yeah.
all. But that was long before him joining Chase U. When he joined Chase U, he kind of had to earn his way in. Whatever, him and Duke Hudson win the NXT Tag Team Championships, but upon losing those championships, we saw Ridge kind of assert himself as the monster of the faction. My question is, why did Duke Hudson and his character allow that to happen? Because I see no reason why he should have equally been looked at as a giant amongst Chase U. And
Maybe he
instead
didn't
of
have that
Andre Chase
mentality.
and Duke at, what was it, Halloween Havoc, imagine had we gotten Rich Holland versus Duke Hudson, and you let them have maybe a last man standing as opposed to an ambulance match. Thus, you're clarifying both of these men are absolute monsters.
Hmm. I think maybe
Because
Duke
because
was a
again,
little bit stagnant and was given whatever he was going with, whatever was given to him.
and like I said, maybe he's guilty of being too passive. It happens. Again, he's a nice. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's a genuine. I'm sure he's genuinely just a nice guy. Nothing wrong with that. But if I'm Duke, especially now, whether it's TNA, whether it's New Japan, whether it's Noah, whether it's AEW, I want you to be an absolute monster. I want you to have absolutely zero fucks given. And you show us why they let the wrong guy go.
Let him know.
I'm telling you, like, let us fucking know. Many of us believe you were the wrong guy let go. I stand by saying you were the wrong guy let go. Show me why I should believe that statement that I uttered just now. Show me. I believe in you.
Damn.
Now that leads me to another individual, and I'm not sure the order that you have it in, but this was one of the bigger ones. This is a man who's been in WWE for quite some time, and given what we saw in his recent run in NXT, let's be honest, we saw the writing on the wall with him. It's no secret that his former faction mates are the new All Elite Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Let them know.
Cedric
It, it,
Alexander.
it is with a heavy heart, and I desperately mean a heavy heart. It pains me to say that this man was given his release at the start of SmackDown. That's what killed me.
Mm.
Like, y'all announced this as y'all went on the air, and I thought that was very Vince McMahonish of them. I was like, that's kind of fucked up, because immediately you're sending folks watching the show, seeing this, you're putting them in a weird type of way to where they now feel awkward, and they're just like, whoa, like, you just let this man go, and now you starting the show, like, this what we doing?
It was very odd to me.
It,
It
it
felt
was
very
very
old
strange,
school. Felt very
old
like
school in the worst way.
yeah.
Like, again, this again, like, y'all have heard me say this before. Triple H has some Vince McMahon traits in him. This these the manner in which he was released or given, or his release was made public, was a Vince McMahon move. With all this being said, I think it's obvious that, again, say what you will about this promotion, all jokes aside, but because of MVP Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin being over there, because Lashley and Shelton are now the tag team champions over there, it's abnormally appropriate that we see Cedric Alexander in All Elite Wrestling. One, because, again, like I said, his faction is there. Two, and I will physically fight anybody on this hill that what Ricochet is lacking in AEW, Cedric will very easily and very comfortably surpass him on that. Meaning, Ricochet, Mister, he about to get shit on in AEW in about 3-4 months.
Mm.
Cedric's gonna drop his nuts on his bald ass head in front of his girl, who claims that her wrestling career has only just begun. Mr. Alexander
Now hold
will
on.
assert his dominance and absolutely murder Ricochet where he stands, while once again rejoining his place among the Hurt Business, now referred to as the Hurt Syndicate.
Now I just had this crazy idea pop into my head.
Okay?
What if he doesn't go over there? As much as I would
I'm
love to
glad
see
you
him
said it, because I
reunite,
also have a plan B for that.
yeah, I would love to see him reunited, but his wife is Big Swole, right?
I'm not certain about that, but here's my plan B. He pops up in TNA because of one man and one man only. And I promise you, HD, I'll give you 5 guesses right now. You will likely not get this man's name right. You got 5 names.
I mean, I'm not gonna guess him. You might as well just kick it on out to me.
The man that will solidify his tenure in TNA will be none other than Mustafa Ali,
Mm.
a man that, although wasn't given the proper chances in WWE, was still let go on good terms, whatever. Maybe he convinces Cedric that, hey, you come over here with us. We prove to them why you should be revered as such, and you and I, along with a Nick Nemeth, will prove that the wrong guys were fired. Okay, interesting.
Now remember what happened with her in AEW.
Yeah, and
Her and
again,
Tony Khan.
something that Tony has since tried to sweep under the rug. But
And I like it TNA because also the crazier part of what I thought about, what if the releases were so that TNA could officially contract some of these releases? Like you see how
well,
Jordan
again,
Grace.
I was getting to that because again, WWE, it's no secret that they're thick everywhere. It's obvious that they can't give everybody the time that they need. So you make them available for their partner programs, whether it be a
Yes,
TNA,
yes.
whether it be a Pro Wrestling Noah, whether it be a Lucha Libre AAA down in Mexico on also foreign exchange shit, whether it's Evolve, whether it's NXT, as Biller puts it, whether you include your sister's ass or whatever. He's
Now, question.
he's go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut your wisdom, brother, but I was just thinking. So, if you want to send them to a TNA, do we still allow these 90-day compete clauses, or do you look the other way? Or is this something like, I mean, like I can imagine you can look the other way if you wanted to, right?
Just for the sake of the topic, but more so as a middle finger to the chief statistician who will ultimately lose his dominance on Wednesday nights starting March 5th. And again, I will be at that show as well.
Love to hear it.
Um, but again, I'll get to that later. So if you want to just be
We need you to
confused in
make
the
a sign,
episode,
a off the
no,
hip
no, well,
sign.
but wait a minute, time out, time out,
Time out.
relax.
Hold on.
No. Put me you on the one on one real quick. I need to tell you this face to face.
My horses. I need to hold them.
No. You know, yeah, that one. Yeah, I need to look at you right in the eye. Escúchame, chico. They gotta earn that shit out of me.
I feel
The
you because it's
fact
tough
that
enough
again,
to even get me to the show. I even commend you for that. Like you actually gonna show up at
I'm
that
gonna be in the third
fabulous.
row. So you know where the ramp is, whatever. I'm up. So if you're on the ramp area looking at the ring, I'm gonna be on the left hand side and the third row. I'm in that bitch.
In it, baby. In it.
I will be there in the same venue where I had my high school graduation, mind you. In that
Oh wait.
same venue, I haven't been in that bitch since.
They better bring
I'm
it
gonna
then.
be there. So in my mind, I'm on Hollow, and also this venue is very historical for my city. So again, this venue means something to me and means something to my folks around me in my area. Tony, don't
Oh.
fuck this up.
Oh wait, baby.
And again, this is Dynamite and Collision. So again, once I get to the crib over here, if you're still up, if you want to do some shit, you know is good.
Yeah.
Think about it. We gonna have that. We gonna have the debut of Evolve. We may have Dark Side of the Ring on top of that. I'm not sure when that starts, but I'm sure that might be a thing. Again,
LFG
it,
might be around. I'm waiting for that.
again, like in early March, that first week of March, people, we gonna have some content for you. Like we gonna have some shit to say. I'm gonna have some shit to say.
Oh yeah, baby. I love it. I love it.
But again, as I was talking about back, just real back to shit, whatever, with Cedric Alexander. Um, respectfully, that if not TNA, they probably are the best fit for him because of some of the individuals working there. Um, if you again, like several guys there, if utilized properly, there's no reason why he shouldn't be one of the top guys because of his in ring abilities. Now, with that being said, if Tony's still going to be Tony, then it's in his best interest to go to either a TNA, a Noah, AAA, anybody that works with WWE, because that connect's still there. Because again, he can now prove to them, while, like I said earlier, why the wrong guy got let go. And if he just balls the fuck out, Triple H gonna hit him with the, "You were right, I was wrong. Here's a couple Brinks trucks to as a token of my apology,"
Mm.
and just cash him out. Whereas if he goes to AEW, Tony will pay him. He'll be in a match. There'll be a freak accident, not his fault, or he'll, like everybody else, he'll be put on the shelf, and then there'll be a freak accident, and then Tony will say, "Well, I'm paying you, so you can't stay. You can't go because I said so." Oh, suddenly here's the injury time.
That sounds
Oh,
about
wait a
right.
minute. Here's some other shit. Oh wait, I just pulled your merch off the website. Oh wait, you now can't work anywhere. You're there till your contract's up. I'm not booking you because I know you want to leave. You
Yeah,
can't go
that's.
because I'm cosplaying as Vince McMahon.
Oh wait.
Oh, was that out loud? You'll be alright. Sorry, not sorry. But no, but again, if Tony can somehow allow maybe a Jeff Jarrett or a Taz to take over the booking, you might be able to see what you have there as far as long term talent. But Tony would have to willingly hand the book to somebody else and then walk the other fucking way and just sit there and just enjoy the show and make sure everyone gets paid on time. That would be best case scenario. But the problem is we're 5 years in, over 5 years in, and Tony can't fucking admit to doing that. You let Mark Henry go. You let the Brainbusters go. The fact that you have Jared and Goldust there still is a fucking miracle. You let Dean
Yeah,
Malenko walk. You let Mark Henry walk.
but those two
You
dudes
you
are
pissed
older
away the
dudes.
bet. You pissed away the good years that Jim Ross had left.
You know what's funny about, like, Hogan said this on the McAfee shit. He was like, Jericho was one of those younger dudes that when Hogan was there in WCW, he was looking at him like, oh, he should get out of there because he's older. And he was like, look what he doing now. I thought that was like Hogan sometime. Again, I hate to
Again,
bring him up, but
when
it
the
was
when the
that
pot's calling the kettle black, you know you're past the stage of, oh, you fucked up. You are past the stage of you were up shit creek without a paddle. You are at the stage where, again, HD, you know what I mean by this. You are the epitome of mierda.
you're not lying. Mierda. Mierda. Trying to tell you, you're not
You are
lying.
deeper than that. So again, and again, Hogan, love him or hate him, I get it. I'll respect it. Because whatever. But in moments like this, which is something that many of us have been stating for the better part of the last 4.5, 5 years, when Hulk Hogan claims that you were basically doing the same bullshit that you accused him of doing, but the problem is now is Hogan never ruined anyone's career. You can name at least a dozen dudes in which not only
Nah, I ain't gonna
you
lie. Nah,
drowned,
nah, I can't let you get away with that one. He tried to
really.
bot, yeah, because look, remember he tried to kill the Undertaker. Now it wasn't successful, but he made an attempt.
No, no, okay. So Jericho ruined Orange Cassidy, ruined H2O. That's three folks right there. Ruined Ricky Starks. Look what he's
Almost
ruined with
Hook.
Brian Keith and Mr. Redwood.
I
Look
think
what
he
he
killed
did.
Hook's momentum.
I'm getting there. He
Yeah.
got hooked. Do I need to fucking continue? I got about 10 more names to name for crying out loud. You just fucking prove. How you gonna tell me you disagree and then fucking prove my point? Make it fucking make sense.
Nah, cause it was like Hogan. We couldn't let him like he didn't
No,
make an
not these
attempt.
motherfucking nuts. How the fuck you gonna prove my point and then say you disagree?
Hogan made an attempt. That's all I was trying to say.
Mm,
On the
mm,
Great Taker. Imagine if that attempt we would have never
uh,
had no 6 feet under
uh,
podcast. We would have.
you motherfucker. How you? I'm not you. You're not getting off that easy. How you?
Oh
How you gonna
baby.
tell me I disagree and then prove my motherfucking point?
I mean Jericho did more damage, I think,
That's what I'm fucking arguing.
but Hogan had creative as well in WCW, which wasn't
Oh,
favored.
you gonna give me a fucking aneurysm right now?
That's
Oh,
a good. I mean, but look, I loved it
I hope
though.
you step on a Lego
Nah,
tonight.
bro, chat. Who was worse? I love that conversation. Who was worse, Hogan or Jericho? Serious question. Like, who was worse?
It's good. I'm telling you, it's gonna be at least 97% Jericho, at least
We should really
because
start making
be,
polls, bro. We should make a
because
poll
of
out of this.
because of what has happened in the last 5 years. The only people that are gonna argue otherwise is probably the Keep It 100 podcast.
I mean, that's they
No,
OGs, man.
again,
That's they
Conan,
boys, they
just you.
homies.
I
You feel
love
me? I
you,
respect
but
it.
again, I will love to be a fly on the wall and have you guys explain to me otherwise as to why I'm wrong. I would love to hear that. I don't even fucking subscribe to that shit, but again, if y'all want to entertain that, let us know. I'll be happy to join. But
Oh yeah,
until then, I stand by this. God damn.
I love it though, Chad. Look what we got out of it, baby. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
I'm only speaking from what I've witnessed over the last 5 years.
No, but in all seriousness, that is a
Who
conversation that
has
to be had,
since
bro.
since the inception of All Elite Wrestling? I'm asking you right now as a serious question. Who has Jericho elevated?
Himself. I mean, I'm dead ass
No,
not even trying to
no, no,
joke.
no, no, no. He doesn't count.
So nobody,
Thank you.
nobody. Everything I seen that I
You
liked
you
from
you
him
you could
involved
have
himself
elevated
on
Orange
top.
Cassidy. You could have elevated Hook. You could have elevated Santana. You could have elevated Sammy Guevara. You could have elevated H2O. You could have elevated fucking Jack Swagger. I can go on and on. Yet
No,
here we
kept
are.
them around enough to make him look strong. Like he put together this dope ass faction of dudes that people was high on Santana and Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? Jake
People
Hager
were
was the
high on MJF
surprise.
Random.
Yeah.
People were high on essentially Cass because of what him and Starks have been doing. People
And
were
nothing
high
came out of
on
that.
Brian Keith until he had signed with AEW. People were high on just anybody Jericho's been around. It's just once Jericho does even something resembling a program with them, it goes to shit.
Yeah. Cause now
For
the
the
focus isn't them. The focus is
for the
helping
majority
Jericho.
of AEW's history, and this has been statistically proven via Russellnomics, there have been it's been in the majority that when Jericho had a segment, the following segment absolutely tanks.
And I'll be honest, I like to play a double-edged sword right here. The same shit that made the business lit is the same shit that hurts it. Hulk Hogan, WCW, NWO, revolutionized the business. Oh my God, this huge faction up until the bloodline comes around. Like there's
Well,
no other. Maybe the
let me ask
Bullet
this.
Club.
Let me ask you this question: Now, you and I can review this in another side quest, but off the top of your head right now, not so much gun to your head, but just off the top of your head, just off of your own memory right now, was Hogan on every single episode of Nitro and on every single pay per view?
No,
Thank you. I rest my case.
but you see, even at
Jericho
yeah,
has not missed a single episode of Dynamite, or he's maybe in the last 5 years, he's maybe missed one episode of Dynamite and maybe one pay per view.
I could dig that. I could dig everything you're saying right there.
But again, with anybody, what's the age old saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right or wrong.
Right.
How can we miss you if you won't go away? Yes, you can have like 10 gimmicks ready to go, but again, they don't mean shit if you ain't taking time away to let shit breathe and to help aid to get set gimmick over. I rest my
Original
case.
song though, he had the best entrances for a while.
And then you talking about
That's another
Judas?
reason, huh? Yeah, that's another reason why it's hard to say he elevates others when
Okay, okay.
he's still in this. No, I
So
just say that to say he's still in the spotlight from others. Like you came in with the big presentation, like
let's go a little deeper than that.
that's a big presentation. The crowd
I
singing
want
his
to
song,
say
like
around Christmas time 2 years ago, or maybe oh, it's 2 or 3, whatever. But in the last 2 3 years, there was the Kaylee Ray situation that involved Jericho,
I wanted to get
and
there. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I don't know if you were watching at the time, but folks
Oh
stopped
yeah.
singing Judas,
Oh, I know they was chanting out the hard stuff. I know.
and they said the please retire and some other. That's when the please retire chant started.
Hmm.
Then he ultimately changed the song so that way they don't boo Judas, and he then
The learning tree,
copied what
right?
Brian Last and Cornette had dubbed the Jericho Vortex, and he's kind of owned that towards like again. So in his mind, because someone now can add the name Chris Jericho to their resume, they're automatically a somebody. That is not the case. I mean, if that were the case, I'm sure Hogan could argue the same thing. I'm sure Vince could argue the same thing. I'm sure anyone who's committed any sin in
I mean, that's
society
why
can.
CM Punk didn't want to go against Triple H, right? He felt like he didn't need that match at that time. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, if a CM Punk felt like, damn, bro, this match ain't even gonna do nothing for me at a WrestleMania. Imagine the
Well,
position you getting put in where you know it's like, damn, this match with Jericho ain't really gonna do nothing right now. Like,
I mean, in his mind, or from what he's recited, uh, Punk and Triple H was supposed to be a co-main event. So, and the way Vince was trying to portray it was it's still a main event, and Punk was of the old school mind of no, the main event is the
the
last
last
match of the
match,
show.
right?
But because Vince portrayed it as this is Triple H, this is automatically a main event no matter where it's on the card. This is Triple H, and Punk's going, no, I'm not buying into your bullshit.
I mean, I feel like it's different circumstances for sure, but it's almost
And
similarities, striking
Jericho's kind of
similarities.
doing
So
that same approach where in Jericho's mind it's become anyone that does something with Jericho or has a promo segment with Jericho, whatever the case may be, with Chris Jericho,
it's close to
that's
WrestleMania esque.
automatically that's the rub right there.
Yeah, it's close to It's like close to having a dream WrestleMania match for him, basically.
Yeah. Which again, 5 years ago at the start of AW, you could have argued that, but given what we've seen since then, it's like
Oh, I went on record and said it. I've enjoyed Chris Jericho as Le Champion. That's like I was so on board with everything they were doing year one. And then I mean they've done things along the way to lose me continuity wise, or feel like you're trying to do this just like rinse and repeat, so to speak. Somebody leaves a faction, creates a new faction,
but
creates a
again,
new like it was just too much of that.
one of the things that has become my pet peeve is this, and I'll ask this question one more time. Question 8, part 1. Has Jericho missed a single episode of Dynamite that you know of?
No,
Has Jericho missed a pay-per-view? I'll argue he's missed one.
I don't know, but
So
there was no need of making him the Ring of Honor champion either, though.
no. That's kind of irrelevant to my point, because my point kind of speaks. So it's like, because he's basically been on every single show, period, no breaks at all. That ruins his star power, because again he's over diluted himself. Then you make him Ring of Honor champion when you've already slaughtered what Ring of Honor was. This Ring of Honor is the furthest abomination from what I remember as Ring of Honor. This isn't it. And the Hammerstein Ballroom shows, again, that wasn't Ring of Honor.
I mean, it's definitely oversaturation, and he hasn't been able to maintain the heat. Like, it's not good heat, it's go away heat. He hasn't been able to spin that around, and he thinks that his idea of still garnishing some booze, it's still like, oh yeah, I'm getting money. Like, this is money. Kind of like what Charlotte said on SmackDown. You guys boo, and I hear money. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how he's approaching the thing. When it's not the
Moxley
same.
can't even draw booze. Moxley's getting crickets.
Yeah, that's just bad. At least
MJF's not even getting booze. He's just getting groans.
I mean, cause they,
Mercedes is getting just.
I mean, Bobby Lashley, MVP, they walked into there
That's
and they
it.
they
But
they they
those
the best.
Lashley and Shelton is literally the only saving grace there on the show.
Even MVP though, I'm be honest, he's the best heel manager in it.
Yeah, I'm incorporating the Hearst syndicate as a whole. Like, that is the only saving
Yeah,
grace.
cause Don Callis done lost it for me.
You could argue for the women, Mariah and Tony, but that is a stretch. Aside from that, but you figure one male act, one female pairing. That is it. That is that that is trying to carry you to Dynamite, to Collision, to the pay-per-views. That is it. Those are the only positives.
Mm.
As talented as that roster is, there is no reason why you're struggling the way you are. It's you are defying physics at this point.
It's crazy.
And their pay-per-view is next week. Let me remind you. Next Saturday. No, excuse me. It's not a pay-per-view. It's a special edition of Collision.
That's the Australia episode, the Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. What used to be an Arthur Ashe show.
But yeah,
Tony tried to have the same show that Tony tried to have in Australia's biggest venue. Nothing was selling. You move it to this event hall, and now you're telling folks, or some folks are telling folks that, oh, this show was never meant to be a pay-per-view from the beginning, trying to justify this shit. Another fan base feels like Tony sold them wolf tickets,
It looks that way.
and he's doing interviews at Radio Row this week, talk about how they're doing they're doing personal bests. Everything's all rainbows and sunshine still, even though it's still a fucking cesspool. He's been ducking and dodging all the failures from the Jaguars organization, to where the fan base has demanded that Tony Khan be fired of his job as an executive with the Jaguars.
That's insane.
Tony Khan, at the NFL draft this past year, told his father and had his father tell the media that this is the greatest team the franchise has ever produced, and they were one of the first teams eliminated from playoff contention.
What a way to go out.
Yeah. So again, like I said many times before, if Tony Khan steps down and willingly allows someone like a Jarrett or JR or anybody else run the show that's not the Young Bucks or Jericho or Moxley, and he
Right.
just purposely steps away and just lets them run the show. Again, preferably it's like a Jarrett, JR, or Taz, something like that. But you let them run the show, I promise you it'll feel like it's a whole new show. It'll feel vastly improved, and it'll have a more positive reaction and even grow a demographic within the first 3 to 6 months.
You know how it is, how I feel. I feel there's room for improvement always within them. Are they gonna do it? It's to remain to be seen. But I always got faith for any company to right the wrongs. You know what I'm saying?
But with them, it's like the only way any planets are gonna succeed is if Tony willingly steps away and stays away.
I agree. I mean, we seen it with Dixie Carter. Like,
We've seen it with Vince.
yeah. So whoever, however much time. That's one thing about business. It's always fluctuating and changing. So he had his run low key. His 2 year run, two and a half, whatever amount of time he was ahead of NXT in the viewership, you had it run. And you got to be happy with that. Analyze what worked then. Stop trying to stay with what you see the trajectory is down and you just don't care. Like like he said, I seen a report that said he plans to keep the company private because he doesn't want any outside influence from shareholders. How do you expect anything to grow when you're just like
Well,
that's
not
basically saying, "Oh no, I'm living and dying on my creation."
well, not only that, it's one of those things where he's afraid that folks will ultimately know the real numbers, like how, for example, how much they're actually losing in revenue, uh, what the actual gate attendance is for certain shows,
And that was the
what the
I
actual
was
numbers for ratings are.
I seen that part. Like that was the more obvious part for me. The more stubborn part was like you're really willing to not accept the help and like you said, fall back. Like what if somebody comes in and invests and they're like, yeah, we willing to invest money into AEW, but you have to fall back.
And I think that's what this new deal with Max and Warner Brothers was about. It's like, again, can they be accepting of growing? And so far, it's like they just took Warner Brothers' money and said, "No, you got us for what we are."
Yep.
And again, that's what I said. Like after I think year 2 or 3, Warner Brothers can, regardless of what the contract states, that after that point in time, they can do whatever the fuck they want with the product. Which I asked the question of how much of the stake do they really own, and if they truly are a majority, then if I'm Tony Khan, I may not want to bow up as much as he's doing because again, you want to earn their shit, not piss it away.
Correct.
But again, these next 2 years at least are gonna be a telltale sign as to whether they're gonna make it to year 10 or not. Now, again, like many, I would hope they survive it because again, that's more content for us to cover. But now I know we're talking about the release now, but again, this is a promotion that many would hope would be a viable landing spot for certain talent. But this is the place where talent that has gone there has essentially become an afterthought in less than 2 months, sometimes less than 3 weeks. I mean, again, what's Miro doing? What's Claudio doing?
Mm.
What's Pac doing? Is Athena still Ring of Honor champion? What's Mark Briscoe doing? I can go on and on.
There's definitely a lot of unanswered questions over there and about superstars that aren't being used. To your point.
So again, although I feel Cedric would be a perfect fit for AEW, as to what AEW would offer to him, in the words of Triple H, may not be best for business.
I agree with you there.
Now the question is, where else would be a viable landing spot?
I think
Now, so,
Indies, indie run, hit up a few like fourth rope, maybe a GC, but I think you don't commit long term if you some of these superstars that just you can navigate your own market, I think. Now you don't want to oversaturate yourself like Matt Cardona has spoken about doing that, and
well,
that's why he doesn't
well,
get
well,
offered a longer
that
contract.
would depend on what he want a new contract or would he want to do some stuff just on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know about that yet, but again, let's say he wants a place to call home for a little bit. One place off the rip. Now, I'm not sure where they're gonna fall into place in the next 3 years, but he would be right at home in New Japan. But
Mm.
it's unfortunate that they still have that partnership with AEW
Yeah.
because he would offer the never openweight division a sense of new life. And assuming he earns a following respectfully in New Japan, Cedric Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr. could main event the Tokyo Dome. That match could possibly sell out the Tokyo Dome if you give it enough time to breathe. Say you let Cedric pull up in New Japan, win some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
enter the G1 this summer, dominate the G1, and then assuming Zack Sabre is still champion by the year's end, that's your Tokyo Dome main event, and that could do numbers. But again, it's got to be done a certain way. Problem with this is how much will Tanahashi allow AEW to be an influence?
You know what's whack too? That the controversy I was mentioning earlier with Big Swole and AEW, because I would enjoy even if he didn't hit AEW, like the possibility he had to say if before AEW purchased him, a
Right.
Cedric back in ROH, back where he came from. You know what I'm saying? Like that would have been fire.
And again, this is one of the reasons why I wish Harry Silken never would have sold, or at least why he never would have sold to Tony Khan. Because if the Ring of Honor that I grew up watching, that I fell in love with, was still around today, 1000%. Could you imagine? Again, I'm just throwing it out there. Let's just say certain folks aren't in AEW to this day. Okay, just for the sake of conversation. All right. Could you imagine a fatal four way between Cedric Alexander, Mark Briscoe, Samoa Joe, and Jay Lethal?
That shit would cook.
That would sell out Hammerstein. That could probably sell out Barclays if you do it right. I'm gonna be honest. Imagine what that match would do in the Garden. Oh my God.
Cause that's when I first laid eyes on Cedric Alexander. To tell you the truth, it wasn't on the
Mm-hmm.
205 Live. When I was looking up, I think I want to say the likes of a Seth Rollins, to do history on him, Tyler Black. I started
Tyler
coming
Black.
across,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I started coming across, Cedric Alexander. I think he was the heavyweight champion at the time too. So I was like, oh, that. I was like, I could get behind this dude, no freak. You know what I'm saying? So I started watching him more. Then he got to the 205 class, the Cruiserweight Classic, and I was like, So I was following Seth. So I'm kind of like, I had hoped for more with him in WWE, but I'm faithful. If I always think there's always a door open, to be honest.
Yeah, but again, it's unfortunate that Ring of Honor is far from what it used to be. Because right now, it would, aside from TNA, Ring of Honor would probably be the number two show in North America right now, or at least in the States. TNA would probably be 2B. And then you'd have MLW, maybe NWA, and then between those two, you might have AW right there. But again, as far as AW, where they are and where they should be, two different spectrums. It's not have to be that way.
Did you feel like Cedric Alexander was one of the more shocking releases, more surprising? I felt like seeing
Unfortunately,
him go down to NXT, it was kind of writing on the wall. I hate to say it.
um, the last couple weeks with him and Sante Adonis was probably more so the writing on the wall for me. But yeah, I think the longer he was down there, the more folks kind of assumed the worst. Which again, it sucks because he's extremely talented.
Yeah.
But again, he's a guy that if you put him anywhere, no matter what show he's on, if you give him a chance to shine, he's going to show you why he is one of the best in the world. It's just again, hopefully whoever uh, acquires the privilege of his services, they do right by him. And as fans, that's all we can ask for. Which leads me to this one, which was one of the later ones, which surprised the hell out of a lot of folks. Blair Davenport, shortly not after the main event, was granted her walking papers. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, HD, but didn't she just get married recently?
Yeah, about a few months ago, over maybe before the summertime.
Okay, so it's been a while, but yeah.
Again, I put this picture because I'm kind of getting disappointed. This has happened for the last few years now, where a NXT hopeful gets drafted in the upcoming draft. As you see Blair Davenport standing right here, she looked like she has some promise. As soon as they interjected her on SmackDown, they threw her in the program with a returning Naomi. She was paired with Alba Fire and Ala Dawn. So it seemed to, and then we hear she's taking off television because she got a marriage. You know what I'm saying? A wedding, and then that's the last we've heard from her, kinda. She might have been in that one of those triple threat matches for the Queen of the Ring or some shit on some quick stuff. I think they might have used her back then, but after that, nothing.
Say Queen of the Ring might have been the last time we saw her, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, been a long time. I
And
don't
I
know
don't
if
know
she's been
what went
hurt or
wrong,
not,
if
but
anything
yeah,
went, yeah. I personally think like WWE may be on a timing where I got to look up her age, but I'm assuming she's young. Like a Duke Hudson, I wanted to mention earlier, he was 35. I didn't even know that. So like in the Blair Davenport's case, she's 28, right? But we also did speak on the other day how some of these wrestlers come into their prime in the late 30s. So I don't want to just say age, but in her case, she hit the main roster 28. Maybe they giving her a chance to go somewhere else and keep working rather than just hold it in and not do anything.
I mean, she was making a name for herself in Japan.
You know, so again, like you said, if a WWE affiliate in Japan may pick her up and contract her over there, because I also think that this may be a move too strategically by WWE, where it's like, all right, we paying these talent X amount, but we're not using them realistically. So, you could get your money's worth somewhere else and just work, right? Like, I mean, because it's kind of like some people may be okay with collecting a paycheck, but from the outside looking in, it seems like the boys and girls want their reps in. They don't want to just sit on the sidelines. So it's kind of one of those unfortunate processes where you may have to take a pay cut. You might not be on the grand stage right now, but that doesn't mean the doors are closed. Unless there's reports that we don't know. But again, like I just said a few moments ago, I think WWE operates under a mind process that if it works for business, if it makes sense, look, they brought CM Punk back. That was like the ultimate. They got Austin to appear a few years ago, even though I probably think that still had hands to do with Vince. But it's just one of those never say never with WWE.
But also with Triple H, where he works on the aspect of he focuses more on who's putting in the work, who's putting in the overtime.
hmm
So
And unfortunately, I'm not saying people can't do whatever it is in their personal life, but I don't know. Maybe a part of my mind thought like, well, like not to say you can't get married, but to take a certain amount of time off in the middle of you just being inserted
yeah,
into a storyline is
or even when they're taking a break, like who's putting in the time to do the extra to stay in shape, where to stay ring ready,
true.
like
And I think,
who's choosing to dedicate themselves to, for lack of a better term, the grind.
yeah, and like you said,
Because again,
everybody's moving, the wheels are still turning.
like for example, we've seen what Braun Breaker could do. We've seen the work Jey Uso's done. We've seen the work that Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have done. Those are just a few examples of folks that have dedicated themselves to the grind.
Yeah. So I don't know where the future lies for Blair Davenport. It was one of the like, huh, kind of releases. Like, dang, they didn't even really utilize her in the recent. Maybe we hear some more news, but I don't think it was nothing more than that. They didn't have no creative for her. But which is kind of odd because I felt like she could have posed a threat in that women's division for the United States Championship, possibly. She could have serviced that
Even the
division.
IC championship.
Yeah, she's a young competitor, so I want to keep an eye out for what's going on with her, where she may end up. And again, I just want to touch on the draft because that was one of the things I started my statement off with. I'm just disappointed. We see it with a few superstars over the year. They get called up from NXT and then maybe just either get sent back down or released. And I would just hope that you put a little bit more on those call ups and not just use them
Right.
as just like a wait like a filler spot for moment. But one of the other surprise releases to me that kind of just came out of nowhere. I was wondering why I haven't been seeing them on Raw. Was
This
AOP and Paul
one,
Ellering.
this was one of two major surprises for me because one, this is one less tag team that Raw now has
Yep,
when they're desperate for tag teams,
yep.
and two, what is Final Testament no more now? Like,
I mean, there's only Cross and Scarlet left.
yeah,
There's no more.
but on the flip side, much like what they said, Rick, these two could strongly benefit from AEW because you have the likes of the Outrunners there, you have uh, Hurt Syndicate there, you have FTR there, you have folks who can do that old school physical style tag team wrestling there. But the question is, will you who know how to utilize them properly, which is probably a no.
Mm. I think those dudes go off and try to make their own promotion, like you were speaking of that they were doing originally. I think they probably go
You,
back to doing that more than
you,
anything.
and again, New Japan and Noah kind of come out screaming to me, but again, the problem with New Japan is they'll be too focused on trying to keep Tony Khan happy with AEW.
Yeah.
And New Japan kind of needs tag teams, and those two would do wonders amongst the New Japan crop right now.
Those two
But
guys are massive. They're imposing figures. So I agree. I think anywhere they go, they could be serviceable. That's the
yeah,
kind of old school
yeah,
tag team you want on your roster. I don't know how they haven't been able to find their footing on Raw because I feel like that's the only brand I've seen them on since they've been called up. They might have been on SmackDown briefly before in the past, but like I feel like when I think of AOP, I just think of them on Raw with Seth
yeah.
Rollins, with Cross, like so.
And say they go to New Japan, like you could have them against maybe a tandem of TMDK, Shane Haste, and Mikey Nichols. You could have them with any combination of Hanade, Great Khan, and Jeff Cobb from United Kingdom. You could have them versus Shingo Takagi and a Naito from LIJ. You could have them against Gabe Kidd and Joe Malone from Bullet Club. You could put them with anybody.
I think unlike the others I mentioned, I think this might be the closure on their WWE career because I can't really. It
Yeah,
would have to
yeah,
be,
cause this is the
yeah.
second time now,
And this time was worse than the first to me, to be
right?
honest. This one was like, all right, yeah, I kind of see like the drop off. The first time was kind of like, okay, maybe they didn't give y'all the right booking. Now the second time it's kind of the same circumstance, but they didn't help do themselves any favor in the time that they had, in my opinion. It just didn't show.
Right. But I wish them the best.
Yeah, I mean they had a dope finisher, that backbuster, whatever. I enjoyed that for a long time, but Then we get to the main surprise. For me, I think is it the main release we can say?
This one definitely surprised the majority of folks. Sonya Deville,
Ooh wee.
and this one broke, I think, minutes before the main event. Like I said again,
I was shocked by
like,
this. Like I mentioned in the
like,
beginning, Royal
like, like,
Rumble.
like I said, with this episode, they had a lot of action going on, but as we learned throughout the night, what they were trying to go extra on, they were trying to hide what we learned with all these releases, as it seems, which sucks.
I'm gonna be honest. In the moment, it didn't feel like that. Reflecting, I could see that. In the moment, I was just really just surprised more than anything. Like, cause I figured like, okay, maybe these releases happened and now people are getting wind of it. Like, I most of these sources I seen, it wasn't WWE directly in the middle of the show thanking them on their endeavor, unless I missed something. You know what I mean?
No, nothing at all.
So it's mostly reports. Like they could have been cut last week. This Monday, Sonya Deville could have been cut. She could have been cut after the Royal Rumble. Who knows? Until these reports surface today. And it's always odd that, like you said, it comes out during the show. So I try to not look at it like a damper on the show because I feel like maybe this is strategically done. Like this information is coming out so that we can feel away. You know what I mean? So I did my best to not let it deter me from the actual content of SmackDown. But once again, to your point, I'm not ignoring the fact that this could have played a factor into why there was some gas tonight. It definitely could have been a factor into why we seen a better SmackDown than usual. Because this SmackDown left us with a mighty cliffhanger. And this isn't a go home. There isn't a PLE happening next week that I know about. The PLE is in like what you said, 3 weeks, next month's time. Like this SmackDown episode that we just recapped, it hit. So this is a surprise to me. I think Pure Fusion Collective also, like what we was talking about, the Final Testament. What lays for Pure Fusion Collective? Do they stay as Pure Fusion? Are they gonna separate Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark? What was the decision made here? Why was Sonya not given enough in the ring? Because I feel like that's something also that was kind of like her last appearances. They weren't so clean, they weren't so bad, but it was just like something to watch. Like, okay, she's been here for a while now, dealt with injuries here and there. Like, it was just something to watch with Sonya. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I feel like the releases aren't over. I hope they are for the sake of the talent, like having work and not having to sit out 90 days, if that's the case. But I think this just might be the start.
Hopefully, it's over.
It's a little odd to me the timing that this is happening before Mania season, also. But I guess we just got over the Royal Rumble. Like any like time to have a big roster would have been the Rumble season, and we just got past that. So now heading into Mania, we got the main event stories and players in play.
we we may get some after Mania too.
Maybe for real. And I also look at this season, like this time of the year, even though WWE doesn't take a off season, I feel like this is the unofficial start of a year right here when you have the Royal Rumble and then the WrestleMania big spectacle of what it is. It's like even though WrestleMania is a closure to a lot of stories that happened to that, it's kind of like still the beginning of the year though. You know what I'm saying? So it's a weird way to reference it and put it, but that's just how I view it. Like it's still this is a new season we're in right now, so it doesn't really surprise me too that like okay, some people got to go like the other ones we mentioned earlier, Cedric, a Duke. AOP, but the two ladies, I feel like this one more on some because she's just been featured, and Blair because she's younger and hasn't been featured. But I feel like a little shock and surprise from each of them for different reasons. If that makes sense to the people in the chat, I would like to know y'all thoughts on each of these releases. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much covering it. If we get any news about these releases, we'll do our best to either put it out there on Twitter or just make a flash video for you guys, a emergency one. You know what I'm saying? Dropping the news, another sidebar. Anything else we might have missed on these releases, or anything you want to add on, Razor?
Well, let's hope these are it.
Yeah,
You
man.
hate to see them go.
Again, just the last thing that I wanted to touch on was to point out that could this be the end of like the faction era within WWE? We've seen them for the last what 3 to 4 years building all these factions, and they seem to be coming to an end. Could we be focusing strictly on two-man tandems and singles competition going forward? We shall see, chap. Until then, we're gonna let y'all go with the new one.
I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. We gotta talk about it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The cheers, the jeers, and trucking. Watching, keeping the eye for the truest skill. And at the same time, entertaining the rumor wheel. We love the sport. Content must go on. Unwelcoming our thoughts. Because it's our job. When it's off the hip. Travel sidebar quest. And the you know the rest. I'm on a quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. If still make it, if still graded, I feel the nasers, I feel my razors. Yo, unders of forever, make it. My slip ain't where you sleeping, so my niggas ain't no making faces. And you may take in faces, and you may take in faces. On one day you can get you back to Tasia. Since I'm dog, ripping all, that's my body's out of places. And they call the show, garbage show your mama had to take it. It's the power, tried to make it, cause I'm doing for the faces. Cause I gotta be for sure the baddest, filling up the maces. In the news, got a free drink. Shoot, we got the drink games. Nearly I'm a stay man. Coded for a lay. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest to be the best, but these quests are on the side. That's not an issue. We gon' make some time. Woo. Ric Flair once said to be the best, you have to beat the best. We on the quest. This quest is on the side. I'm on the quest.